Good morning, everyone. My name is James Poteet, and it is a pleasure to welcome you here on this Easter Sunday. It is a really special day for a number of reasons, and we are very glad you're here. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, we honor the inherent worth and dignity of each and every person, and we welcome you and your unique perspectives and life experiences to be a part of our open and inclusive community. Each Sunday, we light a candle of acknowledgement for the Cherokee and Muskogee nations of people who lived on this land before us. As you use, we repudiate the doctrine of discovery that gave cover to those who destroyed and displaced indigenous communities in the Americas and elsewhere. We resolve to expose the historical reality and impact of this doctrine and eliminate its presence in our policies, programs, and theologies. May this candle humbly remind us of our interconnection, and may there be healing in and among all nations of people. Each Sunday, we also light our chalice. Its light is a symbol of Unitarian Universalism and a reminder of our commitment to be a beacon of love and hope to all who enter. Here are today's chalice lighting words. You may believe that a covenant demands perfection. It does not. But we grow closer and stronger as a community when we remind ourselves again and again of the ideals of our covenant. And now, in the spirit of beloved community, let us greet and welcome each other to worship as we share our congregational affirmation, we need not think alike to love alike. Feel free to move around the sanctuary and offer greetings to others. For those of you online, please use the chat or unmute yourself to say hello.
Good morning. I want to cry. Just look at all of you. Look at all of them. There's so many of them. They keep multiplying. Must be Easter. There's little bunnies multiplying. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Reverend Deborah Bennett, and it is a joy to be with you this morning. And what an incredible day this is. There are celebrations in every direction. And wrapped around them, as is life to want to do, there is also sorrow. And so we hold both joy and sorrow in our services and in this day. In the Christian faith, today is the celebration of Easter, the time when the divinity and resurrection of Jesus is celebrated. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later in service, so just stay tuned. But it is also the time of Passover, celebrated in Judaism. And Passover celebrates the Exodus, the liberation of the Israelites from slavery in Egypt. The holiday is named for the story behind it when the angel of God passed over the houses of Israelites and saved them from a plague. Now, of course, these holidays are very interconnected, even if you were not taught that way back when in Sunday school. Jesus was, in fact, a Jew and had a Passover meal with his followers the day before his crucifixion. The Last Supper was actually a Jewish Seder. And not so coincidentally, these holy days of liberation and resurrection take place in the spring, the time when the earth brings us the hope of renewal and freedom from our bondage of those long, cold winter nights. Today, we are going to hear a story of Ostara, the pagan goddess of spring, the dawn, and fertility. And here's a fun fact. In ancient Rome, the followers of Cybele believed that their goddess had a consort who had been born of a virgin birth. And guess what? His name was Attis, and he died, and he was resurrected each spring during the time of the spring equinox, what happens to be at the end of March for us here. Coincidence? We are also in the middle of the holy month of Ramadan, the Muslim sacred time to set aside a month for spiritual cleansing and purification. By fasting during this time, Muslims seek to become closer to God, to Allah. And it is expected that this is a time to bring more awareness to their actions, including empathy for and generosity towards others. So these are all beautiful faith traditions and powerful times of ritual. Here at Emerson, as Unitarian Universalists, we honor all of these sacred days, and we honor those of you that engage in the practices of these and other traditions at this time of year. And we do have our own ritual this time of year. Today, we honor the rebirth of love, the resurrection of spring, the liberation of hope, and the commitment to interconnection with two special rituals during our service. Plus, of course, we will eat muffins and look for Easter eggs later on. Later in the service, we will be welcoming 2 new members to our congregation and celebrating the renewal of our community because of their presence. No pressure, Diane and AJ, but we're counting on you. And today we're also joined together to celebrate Flower Communion. Now, Flower Communion was originated by a Unitarian minister, Norbuk Čepak, who founded the Unitarian Church in Czechoslovakia in the early 1900s. He wanted to create something for his community that would symbolize the importance of diversity among them as well as their interconnection. The first flower service was held in 1923. He asked each person to bring a flower with them, and then they were brought forward and all combined in the center in one big container during the service. And at the end, each person took a different flower home. As fascism arose in Germany, Norbuk Čepak spoke strongly out against Hitler and the Nazis. And when Germany invaded Czechoslovakia during World War II, he was tried and found guilty of treason and imprisoned in Dachau concentration camp. He continued his ministry within the camp, and in 1943, he was executed during a Nazi, and I'll quote, medical experiment. Norbuk was a gentle man who suffered a cruel death, but his message of human hope and decency lives on through this flower communion, which is celebrated in many Unitarian and Unitarian Universalist congregations, not only in this country, but around the world. And this ritual, I think, is truly important, as important today as it was when it was created. We live in a world and a society that I think we can all admit are divided. Across our globe, there is conflict and destruction. As we all sit in this safe space today, there are so many in Ukraine and across the world who do not have that privilege. Their world is not safe. My friends, today, the parents and family of Patrick Leola grieve the unexplainable shooting of their son. And while his shooting was recorded and posted for all to see online, I wonder how many more people have lost their lives this week due to violence. In particular, violence against people of color, violence born of righteousness or the need to control. Sadly, we seem to keep forgetting that what affects us one affects us all. So today, in this space, we're going to put down our weapons of separation and we're going to join together in our flower communion. I know it's a small gesture, but one that Norberg intended to be a powerful symbol of beauty and diversity. So I'm going to ask you, I hope you each have a flower in your hands. If you do not, if you could signal to our greeters, they are going to come around and make sure everybody has a flower. Take a moment to look around and look at the diversity of flowers. We need a flower for Pamela. James, would you give Pamela a flower, please? I see Patricia has her hand up right behind you, Carol. And those of you online, a special welcome to you this morning. We are so glad you are with us. And if you have a flower in your home, please hold that now, or you could just visualize your favorite flower. So let us begin by blessing our flowers, blessing this miracle that you hold in your hands. So let us pause together, looking at your flower. All who gather here, in your hands you hold a miracle. We hold life itself. We can be no closer to the Creator, to God, to the source, to Spirit of life and love than we are right now, if we choose to recognize it. I'm going to grab myself a flower. So taking a moment to take in the beauty of the flower that you have. Feel the holiness that it is as you hold it. And take a moment and feel your heart and bless this flower with your love. And let it bless you. What if the flower could see you just as you are seeing it? What we do today, joining together, is a small act of liberation, of communion, of rebirth, of empathy. But I do believe in small acts, and I believe in the power of our coming together. I believe that in the declaration of our covenant to honor the inherent worth and dignity of all, and to recognize that we are all interconnected, we make a difference in this world. I believe in the power of practicing these values right here in this very small world of ours. I believe in the power of continual rebirth that these flowers embody. And I believe in the winner of each of our lives, there is an eternal spring waiting to be reborn. I believe in your ability to offer that spring to others and our collective ability to offer that spring to all. So I'm going to invite you to take a moment. If you like closing your eyes, do that, or stare at your flower. And either quietly in your mind's eye or just quietly offer a blessing to the flower that you would like another to receive. So as if writing a note that you are now going to then pass on to somebody else, write a note to someone of blessing in your flower. May the mystery and miracle surround us always, and may we always feel our interconnection. Amen. I'm going to invite you to rise now. We are going to sing a hymn. We not have it on our screen, so you're going to have to do a little balancing act. If you want to get out your gray hymnals, it's hymn 346. Come sing a song with me. And as we sing, and I know there's a lot of us today, so we'll do this as orderly as we can. As we sing, I'm going to invite you to just come forward and place your flower in one of the many vases we have here, creating a communal altar of flowers. I'll just use my preacher voice, as my children say. Mom, you're using your preacher voice. These flowers before us are like ourselves, each unique, each offering a different beauty, each needing a different kind of care, and each so very important, so necessary for the whole. So may we each recognize the unique contribution that only we can make, and may we each feel inspired to offer that contribution. Blessed be everyone. You may be seated.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Sandra Malik, and I serve as a member of our Emerson Pastoral Care Team. At this time in our service, we pause to reflect and share the joys, sorrows, and concerns in our lives, and light candles of our shared care. I invite you now to take a deep breath as you enter this time of reflection. Notice what is on your own heart today. Are there joys enlivening your spirit? When you look at these flowers, very joyful. Perhaps there are sorrows and concerns that you carry with you today. Allow this to be a time to give them space, to hold them with gentleness and compassion. Take another deep breath as we light our candles of care. Allow yourself to receive these joys from around the community. From Sue Ullman, she wants to tell you it was a great joy on Friday to join a group of intrepid caregivers whose effort can now make us very proud of our Emerson landscaping. Thank you, Nick Joquet, Ann Mason, Ed Cosper, Jim Bennett, and Art Whitkin. We know there might be joys and sorrows not spoken. I invite you to say the name of anyone that you are holding in your heart today. Teresa. Let us sit in silence for a moment, allowing ourselves to feel part of this community of care. Let's send our heartfelt, caring intentions to all beings everywhere and to ourselves by offering the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. Repeat the words after me. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be.
I have a story for all ages. So if the young would like to come up with me, or, anybody who likes to see pictures and sit on the floor. Come on up, welcome. Welcome, welcome. So, did the Easter Bunny visit anybody today? Maybe, yes. I see a few hands. So I have a question about bunnies. You guys didn't know this was going to be a science lesson, but it is. So what kind of animal is a bunny? Is it a fish? Is it a reptile? Tell me, what kind of an animal is a bunny? Oh, bunny is a mammal. Do we agree with that? Yes. Yes. Are we on board? Is she right? She's got it? Okay, good. Glad we established that. A+ for question 1. Question 2. Do bunnies, that is, mammals, lay eggs? No? Oh, now we're confused. No. Yeah, you were right the first time. They do not. So, what's up with that? Because I've been walking into stores for the last, good month or so, and I'm seeing bunnies everywhere and eggs everywhere. And these two things, they don't really go together, do they? We can talk about the duck in a little. Yeah, this guy can go with the egg, right? Yeah, that makes sense. This guy, what's he got to do with the eggs? Well, that's our story for today. So Reverend Deborah already gave you a little bit of a teaser that it has to do with a very ancient celebration of Astara and the goddess Astara. So in this time of year, long ago in Europe, people used to celebrate the spring equinox, the end of March, and one of the things they would do during this time of this holiday of Astara was they'd make offerings to the goddess in order to ask for fertile crops for the coming year and to bless their plantings. And so one of the ways they do this is by burying eggs. This was a way of making an offering to the goddess. And the story goes that the goddess was so touched by this offering that she would send her minions out to repay the gift. And her minions happened to be, don't run away with the minions yet. They have a gift. The minions, let me see that one. Yeah, they would go forth and they would return the given eggs, but transformed. Magically, brightly, colorfully transformed. All right? And so that's the story of how this holiday connects the bunnies and the eggs. And yeah, these ones are empty. So don't get too excited about this one. But guess what? Stay tuned because there is an egg hunt later on today when the eggs will not be empty. Yeah, these ones are empty. These ones are just kind of to show you. But I wanted you to know this about bunnies and eggs, and that, as Reverend Deborah said, there are a lot of things going on this time of year. Can we sing our song of dedication? Go ahead and stand up with me. Love is the doctrine of this church, a quest for truth is its sacrament, its services its word, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to
And where's Wynn Scow? Where is our beloved Wynn? Oh, she's behind me. It's like an Easter egg hunt, and you look like an Easter egg.
I think that's good. We are here to welcome our new members. We have 2, and you can read about them in your order of service, but please come forward, Diane and AJ. Super. Okay, so we have a recitation that we're going to say, and you probably don't have, so gather closer here so that we can, let's distribute more. Okay.
Rehearsal for this didn't happen.
Didn't happen, no.
I know, that's a surprise. So this is the congregational, one of the ways that we welcome members into our congregation is by sharing a covenant and sharing, like, who are we to each other? So as these 2 have so wisely and bravely decided to join us in membership, this is a covenant that we will recite to them and them to us.
So we get to start.
Do you wanna go
New
ahead?
members.
Oh,
New members get to start.
right, so this is in your order of service, so if you want to pull that out, you should be able to find this.
Yes, because you, congregation, will have a response. We enter this faith with hope and possibility in our hearts, pledging to participate in and support the ministries of this congregation. We covenant to remain true to the spirit of love that flows through us and guides us. We seek your welcome as we join you in this faith.
We are all connected.
Thank you. I missed the last line. I often do that. But it's your turn now. We welcome you as once we were welcomed. We seek to be open and inclusive, respecting your inherent dignity, your ideas, and your vision. We seek to be supportive, not only when you reach out to us in courage, but also when you need us to reach out to you. In return, we ask that you recognize our humanity. We will not always live up to our ideals, and when we fall short, we invite you to stay in relationship with us and help us more fully bring alive the spirit of love. We welcome you as an equal member of this congregation. Thank you. And we have a rose for each of you.
Our traditional red welcome.
And welcome.
Yeah, you can share. all sound so good. Thank you. How's the sound in here? It feels a little echoey to me. Are we hearing okay? I don't want you to miss this. I mean, I stayed up all night writing it. No, I didn't. So listen, for the Christian faith, today is the day to celebrate an assurance, right? Because of Jesus' death on the cross, the Bible is interpreted to proclaim that those that believe in the gospel will find assurance of everlasting life. For many Christians, this day is considered the most important day in the faith as it celebrates Jesus' divinity and the purpose for his coming to the earth. The account of Jesus' resurrection can be found in all four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but each book tells a slightly different account of the story from the author's unique perspective. What is consistent across all books is that Jesus was buried in a tomb after his crucifixion, and that after 3 days, his body was mysteriously gone. For the days following his crucifixion, his followers questioned what was happening. By all appearances, it seemed death had defeated him. But, can I have a dun dun dun? Oh no, Bruce isn't there. Sorry. Okay, thank you. The story takes a dramatic shift and tells of a resurrection, declaring that in defeating death, Jesus was indeed divine. Easter celebrates this miracle and this answer and assurance for believers that all their sins are forgiven and that they will have eternal life. Now, some of you know what's coming. For Unitarians and Universalists, that is the early Christian ancestors of Unitarian Universalism, the idea of resurrection did not hold the same meaning as in many of the other Christian denominations. In fact, since they saw all as having already been born into goodness, not original sin, and they believed that all were equally invited into heaven after death, they did not see a need, nor did it sound reasonable, to have a resurrected Savior. In their eyes, while Jesus was a powerful teacher indeed, who lived a good and meaningful life, he did not need to die for them to be reborn. Over the years, as this universal theology developed, some disparaged the Unitarians and Universalists, and subsequently the Unitarian Universalists, asking the question, what is the purpose of religion if not to save souls? A question we may still hear today. How many of us have been told in one way or another Unitarian Universalism is not a religion? Anybody? A few weeks ago, I turned into an interview on the radio. I didn't catch the name of the person, but someone who was presumably knowledgeable in the area was asked about the state of religion in this country. The answer he gave was simply that religion will always have a place in society because it offers people answers when they are in most doubt about life. This person said that religion offers comfort by means of certainty. Now, here's a side note. You know how your computer auto-corrects sometimes? While I was typing this, my computer corrected it to rigatoni offers comfort, which I think actually is also a true statement, but I'm going to save that for another sermon. People will always need religion, this person surmised, because people want answers and assurance, and that is what religion provides, answers and assurance. Now, I do not know which faith this person that was speaking was from, but you and I both know they probably weren't you, right? For we have very few assurance wares to sell here, correct? But the interview had me reflect, is that what people want? Is that why there are so many filled Christian houses of worship in Cobb County and so few Unitarian Universalist ones? Is that why the Catholic Church has enough wealth to build huge cathedrals while there are people starving outside those very cathedral doors? Just because people want answers and they are willing to pay for them. If so, Houston, we got a problem. Go to a Unitarian Universalist minister, and here's what happens. You ask, what happens to us after we die? I don't know. Where did we come from? Beats me. What must we do in life? Well, now that's up to you. What rules should we follow for marriage and sex and food? Don't ask me. You'll have to consult your own conscience. Makes you wonder why Unitarian Universalist seminary takes 3 whole years. If people do flock to organized religion for assurance and answers, well, it's easy to see why some people don't even consider us a real religion. Instead of offering a scriptural passage when someone comes to me in a life crisis, I usually simply just take a breath with them and say, yeah, that is hard. Tell me more about what you're feeling. And when someone dies and I organize a memorial or a funeral service, I do not recite copious scriptures proclaiming the glory of God and giving thanks that the deceased has been taken home to him. Instead, I encourage the family to tell stories of their loved ones, to laugh and to cry, to celebrate the fact that they lived and grieved what was lost, and to feel the hugeness of the mystery they are sitting in that moment. Dying is hard and it's mysterious, and life is hard and joyous and mysterious. To pretend out otherwise actually, I think, takes away from the experience itself. So is it possible to build a faith without answers, without assurances? Because you know what? The reality is that it can be really uncomfortable in the very marrow of our bones, this not knowing, sitting in liminal spaces of our lives in the shadow of mystery, in the awe of mystery. What if the purpose of religion was not about providing answers? What if religion was not about formulaic assurances? What if religion wasn't even about the questions? Unitarian Universalism is a faith not centered on beliefs of God or many gods, although some of us believe in them. It is not a faith centered on heaven or hell or sin or salvation, though some of us wrestle with those things as well. It is not a religion based on celebrating one of us as holier than any other one of us. And we do not offer a catechism of answers for your life's questions. But have no doubt, my friends, Unitarian Universalism does have a center. And I believe the center of this faith is simply this. It is an agreement. It is a covenant. It is a promise. Now, lots of it's been written about covenants in the Unitarian Universalist faith. We promise many things, and we start many of our groups by designing a covenant for the group. We have our 7 principles that begin with the phrase, we covenant to affirm and promote. But covenant writing can take time, and remembering all 7 of those principles is hard. So I'm going to suggest we summarize our faith into one easy-to-remember covenant. But before I tell you what that is, let me offer you a parable. Actually, I'm going to recount a parable from Dostoevsky. The parable goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a woman, and she died, and not one good deed was left behind her. The devils took her and threw her into the lake of fire. But now her guardian angel stood thinking, what good deeds of hers can I remember to tell God? Is there even just one? And then he remembered, and he said to God, wait. Once this woman pulled an onion out of the ground and gave it to a beggar woman. And God said, okay. So now take this same onion, hold it out to her in the lake, and let her take hold of it and pull her. And if you pull her out of the lake, she can go to paradise. So the angel ran to the woman and held out the onion to her. And he said, take hold of it, I'll pull. And he began pulling carefully. And he had almost pulled her all the way out when other sinners in the lake saw this and began pulling out her. All began holding on to her so that they too could get pulled out. But the woman began to kick at them with her feet. It's me who's getting out, not you. It's my onion, not yours. And no sooner did she say it that the onion broke and the woman fell back into the lake, and the angel wept. At the core of the Unitarian Universalist faith is a covenant that I believe can be summarized simply as this. We covenant to hold on to each other. That's it. Hold on to each other. Bruce, would you come up for a second? Somebody say, oh boy. No, not at the piano. This is not rehearsed, so we're going to see how this goes.
I ain't got an onion.
Back in the 80s and 90s, would you stand behind me? Back in the 80s and 90s, actually, could you stand right over there? Was he doing bunny ears?
That was a good idea.
Back in the 80s and 90s, trust falls were a big thing. Who said uh-oh? You stand with your back to someone and let yourself fall back and trust that they will catch you when they're ready. I remember doing this for the first time and being a bit nervous until I heard the person standing beside me, behind me, whisper, "We got you. We got you." You want to whisper to me?
I got you.
And the other person displayed their manliness. Sit down. That, again, is another sermon. Boy, I have a lot of sermons to create. But I do remember that first time how nervous I was, and I heard that voice, "We got you." And they did. Do you know that feeling? When they got you? That feeling when you feel like you are in your own personal hellscape and a hand reaches down to you. A hand that doesn't push you away, but says, "Take my hand. We got you." What if the purpose of religion was just to give us a place to practice this one simple covenant with each other, to practice holding on to each other, not because we are related or work together or for some other reason have to, but just because we are human together. You see, this small community, while not the entire world, is a powerful practice ground for not letting each other fall. Sometimes, we want to look out to the far-off lands in the world and talk about holding on to somebody else way out there. And, I think we should do that. I definitely think we should do that. But sometimes we do that or focus on that, avoiding the really close-up work, the vulnerable, close-up work of holding each other. Right here in this community, there is a whole variety of people. So I'm going to invite you to take a moment and look around, and I'm going to ask you to do something really scary. I'm going to ask you to look around, connect with someone else's eyes, and say, "We got you." Don't leave anybody out. I got you. Perhaps we do not, perhaps we do offer and assurance in this faith, after all, right? Perhaps we do offer an answer to the greatest of mysteries. By being in covenant, to promise to not let go of each other, to form and stay in relationship with each other, we are assuring and reminding one another that we are not alone. Maybe best said by Alexandre Dumas's Three Musketeers, right? What did he always say? All for one and one for all. My friends, I don't know for sure what will happen to you when you die, okay? Not quite sure. And I'm kind of fuzzy on where your hell came from. And I'm not clear what your life should look like or what foods are best for you. I don't know how to solve all the big challenges in the world or stop people from shooting each other. Believe me, I wish I did. But what I do know is that in some inexplicable way, what affects one of us affects us all. And I do know that I will not let go of that onion that is offered to me. And I will not let go of you. And I trust you will do the same for me. Thus do we covenant to each other. Thus do we promise to each other. Blessed be, my friends, and happy spring, Easter, Passover, Ramadan, and life. Blessings. I think we're going to sing now, right? Amen. Let's sing. Ed, what are we going to sing? We're going to sing 168. Please rise and body your spirit as you are able. One more step.
One way we seek to live ethical lives is by partnering with other organizations who work to bring love, kindness, and justice to the world. We encourage our members and friends to support their work financially and through direct action. This month's partner is Georgia Interfaith Power and Light. GIPL's mission is to engage communities of faith in the stewardship of the earth and all life on it as a religious response to global climate change, resource depletion, environmental injustice, pollution, and other environmental degradations. Excuse me. In addition to financially supporting Georgia Interfaith Power and Light, we also have our Eco Challenge, which you can read more about in your email, or I believe we have physical copies of the flyer as well. For those online, a link for ways to give is posted in the chat. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or take a card which describes the many ways to give. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally between Emerson and our partner organization. Thank you, as always, for your generosity and support. We hope that you have been nourished in heart and mind by our worship today. If you would like more information about Unitarian Universalism or about participation here at Emerson, please stop by the welcome table in the front entry area. Also, please join us next week for our annual Earth Day service. Our very own Jeffrey Jacoby will share with us a message entitled, "The Earth Says Hello." Yes, please.
I have a sound. Before we end, I wanted to let you know these flowers are available for you. So one of the traditions of flower communion is that everybody brings a flower and takes a different flower. We also acknowledge that there are those in our community who cannot physically be here for one reason or another, so we have about 6 vases that we're going to set aside and take them to their homes. But there's plenty more flowers, so if you know of someone that for whom a little extra loving kindness through flowers would be meaningful, please feel free to connect with me and we'll arrange a vase for them. But if you would like to just take a flower for yourself as you leave the sanctuary today, please feel free to come and take a flower home with you.
Please join me in the closing response as we extinguish the chalice. The words are posted in the chat and appear in the order of service. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. As mentioned earlier, please join us for a delicious muffin brunch and fellowship time. I believe it will be out back instead of in the fellowship room. Do we have confirmation of that? I think so. Okay. Yes, out behind the building. Those of you online, please stay tuned and you will be directed to virtual breakout rooms for fellowship time. At 11:15, our annual Easter egg hunt begins for children. Adults are invited to join Nick Joe Kay for an informative walk around Emerson's campus. Those interested should meet at the picnic tables behind the building. Our service is now concluded, but our connection has only begun.
Go now in peace and take peace wherever you go. So good to see you all, my friends.
you. I'm Fred. I don't think we've met. Fred Hatch. I remember you.